everybody, Sue here, and you are watching Ribbon Print Tales, and we are now smack in the middle of this whole pricing issue. This is the topic that we get calls on almost every single day. So we've put together this three-part series. Part 1 was about the setup fees, and that's already been out. So if you haven't taken a look at that, please do. And today we're going to be talking about what do you charge a customer for specific products. I apologize for the length of this video. It's a little longer, but there's a ton of information here. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to go into how do you actually go out on the street, in meetings, in the field, and talk custom printed ribbon with potential prospects, clients, or customers who are walking into your shop. So without further ado, let's dive right in. What you see here in front of you is an Excel spreadsheet that is called a production cost calculator. You see it up here, production cost calculator new. The reason it's called new is I've simplified the worksheet quite a bit. We had a couple of different versions, and I think this one is just going to be easier for everybody. It calculates your production of your cost of your ribbon when you're using both the ribbon and the foil. So it merges the numbers together and it calculates it with the maximum number of passes. And you'll see what I'm talking about with that in a second. So this is the first worksheet. There's actually 3 worksheets as part of this workbook. One is yards, one is feet, and then there are printing details, which I'll talk about in a second. But let's look at this first sheet. This is taking into account measuring in yards, so your cost in yards. The foil rolls are the costs of your foils through ribbon print, and you'll see there's the black. We have some colors that are one price, some colors that are another price, washable black, and then your metallics. And then our different ribbon rolls cut to the different sizes that we offer and the pricing accordingly. So if you were using, let's just do the 1 3/4, which is the ribbon that comes with a new printer, and you were printing on black. So black foil on, let's say, just a white 1 3/4 ribbon, your cost to print a yard of ribbon is 50 cents. Now, remember, you do not need to use the ribbon that we're selling. So let's say you have ribbon that you purchase Joann's or somewhere, and it's a 1-inch ribbon. Okay, so this area here, this blue area, is if you are inputting your own ribbon consumables. It still calculates with our foils, but you've purchased your own ribbon. So let's say you purchased a 100-yard roll of ribbon, and the cost was $23.75. Now, once I input that, you'll see that this line auto-populates. So you can now tell with a yard of ribbon, your own ribbon, if you were printing in black, it cost you 30 cents. If you were printing with metallics, it cost you 38 cents. Okay, again, per yard. And you can do this with any of your sizes. Now let's move over to this next worksheet that's in feet. You'll see it's virtually set up the exact same way, but now it's being calculated in feet. And so just really quickly, a 5/8 inch ribbon that you purchased the ribbon from the Ribbon Print Company, and you're using one of the colors, let's say maybe it's a burgundy, costs you 8 cents per foot to print. You may notice also this purple bar down here. This is the number of passes that you are actually able to do within your ribbon printer for the various sizes. So for example, 3/8 inch ribbon, you can get 8 passes of 3/8 inch ribbon through using one foil. Obviously with 4-inch ribbon, you're only going to be able to run it through once. The explanations in terms of how we get to these numbers and how you actually can achieve these numbers is what is sitting here under printing details. Okay, so you can just read this. I'm not going to go through all this right now, but you can read this for yourself. So there you have it, a walkthrough of the production cost calculator so that you can determine your raw costs for any product that you are printing. The first thing you need to think about when you're determining how you're going to price your ribbon is what is your specific pricing strategy and who are you in your market compared to your competition. So you need a very clear decision on that. Many of you have seen this e-guide that I've put out. It's a free e-guide and it's available on our website, theribbonprintcompany.com. If you don't have it, go grab this because step 6 talks about being the lower priced leader, the mid-range, or the higher priced custom ribbon business. If you're going to be the lower priced vendor, then you'll probably run a lot more volume. You'll print a lot more ribbon and your margins on that ribbon will be less. If you're going to be on the higher end, the opposite side of the spectrum, you'll probably run fewer jobs. They may be a little bit more sophisticated or a little bit more intricate, and your margins would be higher. So less business, more margin versus lots of business, less margin. And once you decide where you fall within the lower, middle, or high end, then you'll know how you're going to mark up your custom printed ribbon. If you go down here, you'll see that the components to developing the retail price are the product cost, which we already went over with that Excel spreadsheet, your production time, and then your margin, which we're going to talk about in a second. And all three of these together equal your retail price. Now, setup fees, again, we've talked about. If you haven't taken a look at that already, go back and review that video. If you're just printing straight ribbon, in other words, you're not applying it to another product, because of course that incurs more labor, which would increase the price, you can multiply the production cost, in other words, how much it costs you to produce whatever length of ribbon it is, by these different percentages based on whether you are in the low, medium, or high priced range in terms of how you've positioned yourself in the market. Now let's look at custom printed ribbon when it's applied to products to give you some real life examples here. Favor tails, by far the first thing that people think of when they think of personalized ribbon. They can be applied, of course, to, here you can see decorated cookies, but you can use them for bridal showers, baby showers, wedding, all different types of things. And here you can see, and this is just using calculations just like we've already gone over, an 18-inch favor tail with 5/8 inch ribbon costs about 12 cents to print. And you can sell them between 35 and 75 cents per tail, again, based on where you're falling and pricing yourself within the market. So you could make $19 off a sale if you sold 50 tails for 50 cents each. And it takes seconds to produce and print up. So that's a really nice margin. Let's move on and look at sashes. Sashes, again, huge opportunity. And sashes are usually 5 or 6 feet long, and we will talk about how to make sashes in an upcoming video. But they cost only about $1.75 to print up. And you can sell them anywhere between $13.25 up to $30. And I do know people out in California who are selling them for $30 a sash. Now, they will embellish it as well. You know, they'll put on rhinestones or glitter or, you know, do some extra special stuff. Let's look at a couple of other ideas. Rolls of custom printed ribbon, which we were talking about earlier as well. A 20-yard roll of 1-inch ribbon with metallic print. Again, metallic gold, metallic silver, red, and blue are the most expensive foils. But that would cost you $9.60 to print with our ribbon. And you can charge between $25 and $32 per roll. That's a margin of $15 to $22 a roll. Really nice. And then, of course, bows. Now here you can see a gift basket where there's a very, very beautiful, extravagant bow, and only the tail portion is customized. You could also have integrated that customized ribbon into the bow, the top part of the bow. So let's say 3 feet of ribbon, for example, of 1 3/4 inch ribbon, which is the ribbon that you get when you get a new printer from us, only costs about $1 to print up, and you can sell them anywhere between $3 and $7.50, depending on how intricate and complex you want to make the bow. So that's between $2 and $6.50 per bow. So giving you some options in terms of how to apply this custom ribbon to your product. And I think the most important thing I want to leave you with right now is that there are significant profits to be made with custom printed ribbon. And I gotta tell you, it just breaks my heart when I hear that people are not charging extra when they're customizing ribbon. So please, don't let this opportunity for profitability pass you by. You've invested in a ribbon printer. You're investing your time in doing customized ribbon, and that is worth charging extra for. So today you've learned, number one, how to position yourself in the market, and then secondly, what you can charge for specific products. If you have any questions or anything's been unclear, please feel free to leave your questions in the comment section right here below this video if you're watching on Ribbon Print Tales. And I look forward to chatting with you next time. As always, everybody, have a great day and a wonderful weekend depending on when you're seeing this video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.